What's crack lacking game dev gangster? So a while back I have published a video that talked about that you should not get a publisher for your game. And basically the message of that video was just be careful about the contract that you have with the publisher. See what the contract contains, what's in it for you, what's in it for them, what you can potentially lose if there is a contract breach, what they can gain, and so on and so forth. And the other day I was browsing Facebook because, that's what we game developers do in our spare time. We don't create games, we browse Facebook. And I stumbled upon a really cool post. Well, a very knowledgeable, a very wise post where an indie developer, so pay attention, indie developer turned down $500,000 from a publisher. So I want to go through that post, read it with you, and comment on the things that will definitely shock you. So over here, this is the post, and I will probably, if I don't forget, put the link to the post in the description of the video. So Jake Friend is his name. I don't know who this indie game developer is, but here he says, hey, I turned down a pretty big publishing contract today for $500,000, blah, blah, blah. Over here, he said, note that he is not legally obligated not to say the name of the publisher. He still didn't mention. I wish he would, but anyways, he didn't mention. And over here, he proceeds to say that, yeah, every business is protecting themselves, which is normal. I expect every business to try and protect themselves. Be that the business that works with me, with you, I also want to protect myself. That is normal. But let's see the degree of protection for this publishing company, what they had. So over here, he says, let's start with the heaviest stuff. If the business invokes the breach of contract clause, here's what happens. So basically, if he breaches anything, so, he does something that he's not supposed to do, if they think he did something that he didn't supposed to do and stuff like that, this is what happens. They keep the right to sell the game and I lose my royalty. So they keep 100% of the revenue. I pay them back all the money ever given to me, and I also pay them all development costs yet to come for them to finish the game without me, with no limit to what the budget or the cost is. So here's me, a 30-year-old solo game dev, facing a consequence where if my game is taken or be taken away from me, I'm also in debt. So basically, they will steal his game. So his game is now not his game. It's their game. They keep all the revenue. He needs to pay them back everything they gave them. So those $500,000 they, potentially gave you, me, or to some other publisher, actually other game developer, he needs to return that. No matter if he maybe spent 100K of those money or 200K or 300K. Just imagine this breach of contract can happen like 3 years after they give you the money. You need to live, you need to pay your expenses, you need to pay for food. If you have a family, you need to support them, all of that stuff. And then they come to you, okay, give us the money back. And not only that, but you also need to pay the development of that game until they finish it, with no limit how much that development will cost. Is this something that you will get yourself into? I don't think not. Moving forward, it says the debt would be anywhere from 1/4 to $500,000, so a quarter or $500,000, and with no option for further income. Likely any funds I already receive will be spent on cost of living, which is what I said, and I don't have money like that, so if this happens, I'm in debt forever. Yeah. Basically, you start creating a game and you're in debt forever and you die in debt. This breach is really easy to trigger, and this is what I said. If they think you breached a contract or you did something that you were not supposed to do, or whatever, it's really easy to breach. It said I would never expect a producer to call for it, but if the business has a choice between paying for a game and getting more than 50% of revenue plus its money eventually back, or not paying for a game and getting 100% of the revenue, obviously one is more blatantly self-benefiting, and even if unlikely, I can't accept that massive risk without protection against someone at the top deciding to cut me loose one day. All it takes is one misstep to have cause to invoke. Only one misstep, maybe you're doing something that you think it's totally fine, because 99% of the times you need 3 lawyers probably, or even more, to help you understand the contract of the companies that they build in. Just the other day, my friends, or one of my friends, is in a team. They're building a really cool app, and I'm going to say what the app is, and I'm going to spoil that for them. But they received some funding. It's, like $10,000. But the company was so sleazy in the contract. They're like, oh, first we're going to give you $3,000, and if we give you $10,000 down the road, which we can decide if we want to or not, we get to have 30% of the company for $10,000. Hell no. Hell no. Moving forward, over here he says, notably, milestone builds could take 30 to 60 or more days to approve, but you can technically be read as in breach if it's not approved 30 days past the due date. So there's comfortable room for a breach to be claimed on a technicality. So basically, if they have a milestone build, so they have a milestone to achieve and create a build of the game for that, and that can take from 30 to 60 days to be approved. If that, for example, if let's say in August is your due date to submit that, and you submitted in July, it can take for them 30 to 60 days to approve that. So if they take 30 days or 60, to approve that, you're past August and you're in breach. And all of this, what we mentioned, can happen to you. The next step in the clause states what happens if they, the company, the publisher, breaches the contract. And he says over here, oh, what happens if they breach contract, you ask? I get to keep my game. Isn't that nice? Yeah, so if the company does you wrong, or they do something that's not in the contract, or they do something differently from what's in the contract, you get to keep your game, so you're good, They don't have to pay you anything, or don't worry, you just keep your game. Good luck proving it anyway. All publisher responsibilities total maybe 5 WAG sentences that they must only try their reasonable best to do any part of their entire job. So they basically, all of their responsibilities that are in the contract, as you can see, are 5 WAG sentences. I don't know how to pronounce it. WAG, I don't know. Anyways, you get the point. But they, can put the effort, their maximum best effort to do. And if they fail, well, you get to keep your game.
Nice.
Let's talk about the revenue share. So over here, he says, how about the revenue share? 50-50% was on the high side for the funding I was seeking. So he was seeking 5 figures, not 6. And he was, giving 50% of the revenue to the publisher. But still would have been very profitable for me. Okay, even with 5 figures would have been profitable if it was 50-50, except pre-recoupment. So until the company has been repaid about $250,000, so basically half of their investment in the developer, the terms are 100% zero. So basically until the company gets back half of the money they invested, you get zero. So yeah.
That's really nice.
And over here he says, again, you will be due literally zero residential income from the moment the final build is approved until after around 24,000 copies are sold. And when I say due income by then, I don't mean that you will be receiving it anytime soon. This is a really interesting part that I will read. But basically, when the game is approved and it's published, you need to wait at least for 24,000 copies to be sold until you get any money. And I say in quotes, get any money, because over here on the next page, he says they don't have to start paying you your share until 30 days after the end of the quarter. So up to 4 months past when it's due, and can withhold expected returns up to 3 months more. Keep in mind, there's also no legal obligation to show you any financial records. So basically, you are paid every quarter, but they can also postpone that for more 30 days. So that's after 4 months. So somebody can buy your game, or maybe your total revenue share in January, let's say it's $20,000. Well, you're not getting that money before May. No way, Jose. And keep in mind, they don't have to show you any financial records. So they can say, okay, your share, I'm not implying that any company would say that or do that, but they can hypothetically, potentially say your revenue or what you earned for this period is $20,000, but actually maybe you earned 50 or 100 and so on and so forth. Oh yeah, and your eventual share is also expected to cover all global sales tax. Why would that be a burden? The party responsible for handling sales cover. So basically all your sales, so the money that you get, they're going to take from that money to cover the, taxes and all of that stuff. And they don't cover anything. They just give you the $500,000 and they're done. They own you, your game, your whole life, family, and so on and so forth. I'm an individual and they're a corporation. Letting me earn literally any more money pre-recoup doesn't affect the eventual full recoupment or hurt them in any way at all, either as a business or individual. So basically it's saying like, they're a big company and they still want to squeeze the life out of him. Catch them underpaying you, there's no penalty clause. You're repaid only what was withheld and you're going to pay for that auditor even if you do prove fraud. For the end time, the exploitation is not just penalty fee but also profitable if I don't opt to gamble that cost. So basically what I said, if they say your share or what you earned in certain period of time is $10,000, but it's actually $100,000, and you catch them, you prove that, as you can see here, there's no penalty. You just get, they'll say,
"Oh, it was our mistake. We didn't give you $90,000 more. Here you go. Your money back."
And if you don't catch them, well, nice. We keep the money. Now, moving forward, have a disagreement over being told to add advertising systems to your game or over adding content you don't agree with. Guess what? They can have a third-party developer it anyway, or dev it anyway, and you are paying for it. Also, no defined budget cost limit on this as before. So basically, they want to change your game. You don't approve something, you don't like it, and all of that stuff. They don't care. They will find a third-party developer to change that instead of you, and you're paying that. Very nice, very clever. We need to learn from this company. This is how we do business as game developers. This is how we sustain ourselves. When I voiced heavy concerns with the contract, they were surprised, like very honestly surprised. Again, I don't think they meant harm or to exploit, but predatory behavior has been normalized in the industry. I guess it just doesn't stand out anymore. So basically, when he, said, okay, well, this contract is a little bit crazy. You're asking, basically you're going to keep my soul and all of that stuff. And they were surprised. They're like,
"What is the problem? We don't see a problem over here. Why are you complaining? Most indie developers would be glad to have this kind of contract."
And stuff like that. So yeah, as he said over here, predatory behavior has been normalized in the industry. And this is what I was saying in my video. Like, you need to be very careful with these publishers. They are sneaky, sleazy snakes. Not all of them. I'm not saying every single one of them. But yeah, there are companies out there that want to exploit you, that want to take your money with the excuse of helping you as an indie developer, and they are a big publisher and all of that stuff. So be very careful if you want to get into these things. He says further here, they responded by asserting the contract couldn't be exploitive because top lawyers in the industry wrote it, and because other developers have signed it. The fact that they still easily sign devs on this is a poor reflection on the industry, not a vote in favor of our practice. Basically, this is what I said, especially in the video where I reacted to the day in the life of a game developer, which now has more dislikes than likes. But my point was, if we get accustomed to this behavior towards us, and I say us, I mean game developers, and the behavior comes from other companies, if they treat us like trash and we accept it, that's going to be the norm for us, for every developer that comes after us, and so on and so forth. So he says over here, the fact that they still easily sign developers on this, I cannot believe. I mean, okay, I understand not everybody lives the same way. Maybe you live in a high cost area, or you need more money to sustain yourself and all of that stuff. I get that and I understand that, but still, that's not, if you're not living on the streets, if you're not, homeless, and you don't have any means to an end, you don't know what you will eat tomorrow, I will not accept this contract no matter how much money they're offering, because it's crazy. Important context, they approached me. I wasn't looking for a publisher and already had enough, barely, but enough Kickstarter funds to go out or to go without them. These were the terms offered with literally as much as leverage as someone in my position can have. So look at this here. They said, like in the contract, this is what I understand from this, and you can guys correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. They approached him. So that is stated in the contract, and he was not looking for a publisher. So basically, this really I don't have words for a company like this. They want to exploit you till the end and still blame it on you because you're, basically allowed us to exploit you, and, that's all fine. If you're reading this hoping to find a publisher to take your small project to the next level, get the contract, read the contract, skip to the terms of termination, and check what happens if something goes wrong. This is what I was saying in my video. So make sure that you go and read that contract like a gazillion times, at least, because you see, nasty things can happen if you don't. Check how often and how quickly you get paid and what visibility you have into the accounting process. Check how disagreements are resolved and what triggers penalization. Check that they actually have to launch your game. Check. This is basically self-explanatory. I don't have to say anything. So for the payment, make sure, no matter how the cut is, 50-50, 20-80, I don't know, 10-90, whatever you agree on, check how often you get paid. As you can see, the Jake friend over here, our friend developer, will not get paid at all. Moving forward, no matter what you're told conversationally, and regardless of if the people you're speaking with mean well, which they probably do, I don't believe that, the legal terms are the only guarantees you have as to how the business has to treat you, and the business will never put you first in a pinch. So basically, whatever they tell you, conversationally, word of mouth and stuff like that, that all doesn't count. What counts is in the terms, in the contract, what they put. So they can say,
oh, we will give you 90% of the revenue. We will pay you the same day the money is processed and all that stuff.
But then you see in the contract, oh, that is not true, and they don't have to do that. Sneaky little bastards. You are a person. They are a business. Don't capitulate. Don't capitulate. I don't know how to pronounce this. And don't in-debt yourself. Me, I'm going to make the damn game anyways, Be good to each other. Thanks for rating. So basically that is that. And this is, the main lesson that we should all learn from this predatory behavior. Don't allow any company to take advantage of you. No matter which game you're creating, no matter if you think your game is the best or the worst or whatever, just create your game. If you can do it on your own, good for you. Try Kickstarter. Try building a following in social media. This is what I'm talking about the whole time. Build a following on social media and pitch your games to your followers, to the people who support you and love you and all of that stuff. So yeah, make sure that you read your contracts and, subscribe to the channel. There are no contracts to that, and hit the notification bell and all of that stuff. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.